We're approaching 9 o'clock. We are in Eford Studios in downtown Raleigh alongside Joe Giglio. I'm Joe Ovias. It is time to break out the drunken owl. It is time for an OG After Dark where, hey, Joe, look at this. Carolina Duke actually delivered. Like, for real, they delivered. It was an entertaining game, right?
I thought it was important for Duke to play a game like this and to win. I know what the final score looked like, but they were pushed in this game. They were tested in this game. And so far this year, in games that they've been pushed and tested, they've mostly lost.
Yeah.
So, yes, they beat Auburn at their place. I know that. But having a game like this, rivalry game where you get Carolina's best shot, you get RJ Davis throwing water in from the ocean, and you're on to something there. And it's the one thing that you've been talking about with Duke defense.
Yep.
I thought in the second half, they closed that game on the run that they did, and punctuated by the block by Cooper Flagg at the rim there of Van Allen Lubin. I think that was their calling card, you know, and that's something that's going to travel next, the rest of this month, quite frankly, because I love that Cooper Flagg got into the foul trouble. I love that they had a win left-handed.
Yeah.
I love the way that Proctor played in the first half of this game. I love that Knippel drove the bus offensively for them with Sion James kind of filling in. But ultimately, Duke needed a game like this. They needed to respond, and I like the way that they responded. Now, does that make them national champions? No. But in this process, games like this are important.
Yeah. So, okay, since you started with Duke, I was actually curious from the Carolina side of things because Carolina played exactly the way you want them to play in this situation, knowing they needed, as you like to call it, the magic bullet to get into the NCAA tournament.
They poured it out about after the first 6-7 minutes of that first half. They poured it out. Their desperation was palpable. Love the way that RJ Davis played. It was a true Peyton Wilson-esque performance to carry his team.
Yeah.
And, sometimes it's enough and sometimes it isn't.
And they did not get discouraged early on. When Cooper Flagg picked up his second foul, Duke was up 17-12 when he picked up that second foul. As I jokingly put on Blue Sky, I think that was one of Cooper Flagg's true welcome to the ACC. Ron Groover, you really called that? Really? You called that?
It was embellished.
It's in Chapel Hill.
It was embellished.
Whatever, you called that.
It happens.
It takes him out. Right. It happens. It happens.
Hey, Michael Jordan in Atlanta against Dan Dakic. We still have to hear that asshole talk.
I know.
40 years later because of the foul trouble. Okay,
but here's the thing with Flagg out, Duke up 17-12. When Flagg came back into the game, Duke had survived that. They were up 39-28. But it was the third foul where I thought things when they got a second opportunity to get to Duke with Cooper Flagg on the bench, they absolutely took advantage of it. They went on an 8-0 run. Carolina went on an 8-0 run with Flagg picking up that third foul. And Duke along the way was turning the ball over a ton. Carolina stopped turning the ball over. I think they only picked up, 3 turnovers in the first couple of minutes of that game. And they were pretty much mistake-free the rest of the way. While Duke kept racking up turnover after turnover and silly mistake after silly mistake. As much as Carolina played great defense, Duke was also doing some things where they were rushing shots, just playing some uncharacteristic ball that we've seen at a Duke down the stretch where they have absolutely been flawless against ACC competition. So 26-6 run extends into the start of the second half when Carolina takes that lead. And I thought, hey, man, let's see where this goes. But it gets back to what I've said about Duke defense. Rebounding continues to be clutch in the situation. Size does matter. I don't care what Yoda says. Size ultimately does matter. And that's where Duke ended up coming out. And you know what? I deserve this. Our guy JC texted me. You deserve a but Joe Malik Brown. You know what? I knew the game was over, not because of Malik Brown's defensive ability. That dude hit as many threes tonight as he's hit all season. And when he hit that second one, Elliot Cadeau went, are you fucking kidding me? Are you fucking kidding me?
Yeah.
And that was pretty much your ball game right there. So you're right. Duke hadn't necessarily been tested down the stretch. When they've been in close games, they've been
tested, but they've lost in their tests.
There was no Cooper Flagg slipping on the floor at
Right.
Clemson. There was no Cooper Flagg couldn't get the shot against Kentucky or Kansas or whatever it is, right? This was them getting tested, and they powered through it, and they won. That shows you something. That does show you something.
It's kind of like the state game at Cameron, to be perfectly honest with you.
Oh, what do you mean?
They were losing to
That's
State.
true. That's true.
And then they pulled away, ended up winning by double digits. So you could sit here and say, well, yeah, they won by double digits. But that's not really the story of this game. 27 points in the second half for Carolina, only 4 of 15 from the 3-point line in the second half. There's your story. You laid this out beautifully, Joe.
Mm-hmm.
For someone who's not supposed to know anything about ball, you laid this thing about beautifully.
I am not a ball knower.
You told us about Duke's defense, and you told us Carolina's going to have to hit threes, which they did. They did in the first half, but the second half, 4 of 15. Caleb Love, obviously not the same player in the second half that he was in the first. So this is a good thing for Duke, for Carolina now. I don't mind that they have to play now on Wednesday in Charlotte.
Mm-hmm.
I think the extra game helps.
Depends on who you ask.
And now, no, because I love it. I love getting there early. I want you to play early. I want you to feel good.
What I'm saying is I saw this discourse taking place, not specifically about the ACC in Carolina, but about you need a couple of wins in the tournament to get yourself into the NCAA tournament.
Who's not saying that?
Everybody says that, but there's been a pushback of like, you don't know the process if you think that you need, like, as if these decisions aren't already made. Now, strange things can happen. Teams get knocked out.
Please,
you could get some bid stealing. This has been something that I've seen online it
dog.
relates, not specific to Carolina, but there's going to be there's going to be pushback on how much Carolina actually needs to do in the ACC tournament to get into the NCAA tournament, because we've got Destination Dayton on the table. I think that's potentially what had happened tonight.
It was a bad break for Carolina in this sense. The loss now pops them in that 4-5 range, which means they won't play Louisville.
No.
They won't play Clemson.
No.
They needed to play both of them and beat both of them, in my opinion. If they go there and win the 2 games that they're capable of winning, I think that might be enough.
Mm-hmm.
But they're staring at Duke now in Friday's semifinal if they can win 2 games. Will that be enough? That depends on what happens with the rest of the bubble teams. Remember, you're competing against the bubble, not Duke.
Yeah.
Right. Not Auburn, not Alabama. You're competing against Indiana and the other teams that are on the bubble with you.
To the YouTube comments from AQ, I guess these are the 2 things that really won the day. 2 Roosters. Talk about completing the assignment. 2 Roosters completed the assignment. Not a single road win for NC State this year. So no buy one, get ones. But you know what? Maybe the buy one, get one promotion was really the friends we made along the way. Did you ever think about that?
It was the ice cream we didn't eat.
From T, even after this loss, will 2 Roosters have ice cream named the Carolina Blue Matter? We'll talk to Jared about that. From Bull City Coordinators, the Caleb Foster game. Yeah, I think that's another thing that I talked about this week. Yes, 3-point shooting. Yes, defense. But Duke also has depth. I think at one point
he's making a joke. Caleb Foster had 2 points.
No. What I'm getting at is it's not just him. At one point, I know he had 2 points. What I'm getting at is at one point you even said Shane Gillis. That's the comedian. Mason Gillis. You were like, wait a minute, isn't that? I'm like, yeah, that's another guy. I think at one point you and I were having this conversation. I'm like, who's going to be the one that's the hero in Raleigh that you weren't expecting? Could it be Isaiah Evans? There could be a Caleb Foster game if you're not careful. You know what I'm saying? Duke's just deep, man. This is what it is. Let's see what else we got here. From Mike, I'm just sad. That's it. Nothing but sadness. Oh, come on. As Paul points out, who doesn't love the middle of Ohio? I've been to Dayton. They do a wonderful job with the NCAA tournament. Come on now. Don't be hating on Dayton.
919-444-2211. Call the OG Sports phone and curse or don't.
As always, when we go to the OG Sports phone, I just straight raw dog these things. So let's see what we got.
Hey, guys, it's Ben from Bull City Coordinators. I'd really like to enjoy this comeback win by the Blue Devils and enjoy the fact that they swept the Heels this year. But, Carolina beat us twice back in 2022. So I don't know. Maybe this game doesn't matter. We'll find out. Anyway, keep up the good work, guys.
Oh, and by the way, Ben, who's also in the chat, says he was not joking about Foster. He brought some energy on that block. Okay. Let's not get too crazy. All right. I think it's from a 704.
Hey, guys, it's Paul. Well, that was a valiant effort from the Tar Heels. Man, they threw their absolute haymaker there at the end of the first half and the beginning of the second half, and lesser Duke teams would have folded, but damn. You got to give props. That's a hell of a performance from Duke. Yeah, I mean, season's not over. You got the ACC tournament. You got an opportunity to play Wake Forest in the quarterfinal, and you might get another crack at Duke in the semifinal if you get that far. But I fear they may have figured something out a little too late, a little too late, because leaving it all to beat that Duke team was always going to be a tough ask. Well, shit.
There's an optimistic way to look at this for Carolina, and there's a pessimistic way to look at this with Carolina. You can look at what happened tonight in Chapel Hill and say, what did we really learn about the Tar Heels in this final stretch of the season? Yeah, they won 6 in a row to get here, but look at the teams that they were beating until they played somebody that was above them in terms of the record, in terms of where they were at this point in the season, an actual tournament team, an NCAA tournament team. What were you really going to learn about the Tar Heels? And I think what we learned about the Tar Heels tonight, whether it's Duke or not, whether you're talking about a potential national title contender or not, you got more of the same from the Tar Heels. They have to play perfectly.
Do you know what Carolina looked like tonight?
Okay. You have that shit-eating grin on your face, so I cannot wait to see where this goes.
God, I don't want to kick you when you're down.
Oh boy, what's this?
They look like a normal college basketball team.
Yeah.
That got home, poured their guts out, played their balls off, played a great game, but couldn't win. Do you know how many ACC teams have circled Duke on the calendar and have had Duke at home and thought, if we just win this one game, we'll get in?
Isn't that the problem?
And you don't want to be normal. If there's anything I've learned this year,
Joe,
it's that the Tar Heels
not only
don't want to be normal, but you know what tonight was? You were a normal team tonight. You weren't a blue blood. You were a capital R rival, but you were a normal team tonight that needed to pour it out, needed some desperation, and your best wasn't quite good enough.
I wasn't there tonight, but we were at the Rialto hanging out with Hayes and the Jungle
and
Gym.
Camp Siegel.
Yeah, I was going to say full Jungle Gym at the Rialto tonight. It was a good time. The highlights were flowing, but I noticed when they were coming out of the halftime and they were doing the little vignettes about what had happened at halftime in the building, not like Seth Greenberg saying things, but like who they had there. They showed a picture of Bill Belichick. Bill Belichick he was a game day. He said, you guys go out there and you have a great time. Julius Peppers was out there. They had all the greats out there. It almost felt like an NC State game where they were honoring one of their championship teams, right?
Weird.
Right. I mean, it was a feel good, let's have a good time in Chapel Hill kind of night, right? It still ended up being kind of a normal night for the Tar Heels, which of course, again, is the problem with how this season has gone. And I understand why a lot of people are very frustrated with the current situation with Hubert Davis and this team. All right, back to the sports phone. This is a 252.
Obies and Gilio. Love the work you do, guys. I'll begin by saying GTHC, and I'll say that I really like Hubert Davis, and I really like Kevin Keats. Those are classy guys. The universities would be in a great position to keep those gentlemen who are respectable, smart, sharp coaches. Remind me of the old ACC. Now, what I will say is that Duke is hot, and they're going to beat everybody's ass. Look forward to seeing ACC championship dinner. I hope, maybe. Don't jinx it, but I think it's possible. Sorry that Jai Lucas is leaving. College basketball is nuts these days. I can't believe he's not going to be with the team to coach us through, but I'll close it out by GTHC.
I do think it's wild that
What was the first one?
What?
Like, go to hell.
Yeah, go to hell, Carolina. He's a Duke fan.
I'm saying it twice. Is that what he did? Or did
I
he
just keep
change
saying it.
Oh, okay.
He's just saying it. Go to hell, Carolina.
No, the thing with Lucas is weird.
It's bizarre.
Especially because he's within the league.
Yeah. And
so
And like Miami's like, nah, you got to get on this now
I was
because the
gonna
portal's
say,
about to open.
this
So
is-
hey, cool that you're on a staff that could potentially be going to the Final Four and yada 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 yada. Jay, we need you to start working the portal now.
I was gonna say, this isn't Chuck Amato coaching out the string with
No.
Florida State in '99 to win a national championship
No.
with his guy Bobby Bowden. That is unusual. I just think tonight was a lot about Duke. What an unbelievable opportunity.
Yeah.
To play a game like that, to have the stakes that they did. I think if Duke had been, in the same situation with one conference loss and not the perfecto to play for, not the number 1 seed to play for, Carolina probably wins this game. But the added incentive to be from, you could lose this game and be the number 3 seed was kind of wild to me. So I think there was some extra motivation in there for Duke. I love that they had to play the game left-handed. These are the kind of games you have to win. These are the kind of games that cost Dean Smith all of those years.
Yeah.
All of those years.
I was texting with Nada during the game. If you're not familiar with Nada, he works on, he's the producer for the Eye on College Basketball podcast based in Charlotte, AKA Where I Crash in Charlotte to save money on the OG Media dime. Right. Although
we got some odd couple moments coming up this week.
Yeah, you and I do. Since our Airbnb is a couch and a bed. This could be interesting. But you said your back needs the convertible bed, so it is what it is. Now, so we were going back and forth about when Duke was down and unable to kind of get out of its own way with some careless play. Even Cooper Flagg was rushing some shots there too while he was dealing with foul trouble. I'm thinking to myself, man, I've seen the John Scheyer team get bodied by an SEC team in the NCAA tournament. All right. And given what we know about this, I'm not saying an SEC team is going to win the NCAA tournament, but Duke could see an SEC team early. And these are the kinds of things where you're running up against a desperate team, even if it's not a physical, because that was the thing about Carolina that was impressing me. And Jeannie, bless Jeannie. We got the owl here in the corner, the after dark owl. She says no moral victories, but much better showing this game. I would say it's much better than a much better showing. I mean, Carolina sold out tonight defensively.
Yeah.
The things that Hubert Davis has been talking about in their 6-game run up until this point, where they have an attention to detail, doing the things that he's asked them to do. Well, that came through in the first half and a little bit to start the second half as they extended a lead. So that's a situation that Duke, if you're going to take any lessons here, yeah, man, you got tested, you came out in a close game, you get all that kind of stuff, but that's going to happen to you again. And you're not going to have,
not when you expect it either.
And not when you expect it.
Yep.
There's going to be a team that continues to hit all those threes and not run out of gas, right? And there is no, all right, well, we lost the regular season game, and I guess we'll see you in the ACC tournament type situation. Now you're going home, and that's not what this is about. And that's, as I was jotting down notes on my notepad here during that game, I mean, I was getting ready to roast Duke after that first half, really, because if you are raring into form and you're clearly better than that Carolina team, you're clearly better than them. And Carolina,
you're more talented than anybody in the country. They have 3 lottery picks.
Yeah, and you were able to weather the first situation with Cooper Flagg, and you didn't settle down after that second foul for Cooper Flagg, right? That to me, I was like, I was getting ready to be like, hey, Duke, guys, like no. Like you're lucky this is happening now. I wrote this down. Like you're lucky that this is happening now and not on March 22nd. You see what I'm saying? In a couple of weeks. So that's where I thought it was kind of interesting. But look, man, Carolina led 59-53. I think like 5 minutes into the second half. And then in the final, they got outscored the rest of the way. I think they got outscored 29-9 over the last 14 minutes of that game. And that's where Duke went, oh, okay. All right. I was wrong. You guys are good. You guys get it. I see where you're at now.
Here we are in year 3 for John Scheyer and cue Tyrion Lannister because you're in the great game now. And I think you and I agree, John Scheyer should be the ACC Coach of the Year this year. He probably won't win it.
It's him or Pat Kelsey.
He probably won't win it, but he should be.
Yeah.
But I'm telling you right now, he's in the great game now. And you know why? Great coaches don't lose turnaround games. Understand what I'm saying to you. Great coaches don't lose turnaround games because turnaround games are about coaching and almost essentially coaching only. So his first 2 years, he lost a turnaround game at Tennessee in the second round of the NCAA tournament. And his second year, he lost a turnaround game to NC State and Kevin Keatts in the Final Eight. Great coaches don't lose turnaround games. Great coaches can lose when they have a monster. They can.
Mm-hmm.
Mike did in 99. It can happen. You can lose with a monster, but he deserves full credit for getting them to monster status. And now the great game is afoot for John Scheyer. You want to be a guy? Cool. You want to be the only guy to ever be the guy to follow the guy? Well, here it is, man. The great game is here. And Khaleesi says, I'm scared. And Tyrion says, you should be. Because the stakes are it now.
Well,
this is it.
We'll see if Duke's season ends better than Game of Thrones ended.
Tyrion ended out on top.
Finish the damn
Well,
book.
you got to
Finish the freaking book. All right, from an 828. No, wait. Try it again. Play. Maybe. No, nothing there. All right, let's try this one.
Regal Tar Heel, number 3. You can give Hubert Davis and this whole goddamn, you can give him $1 billion. You can give him all the best GMs. You can do everything you want to do. Doesn't matter. Kind of like Kentucky. You can get all the number 1 picks you want to, but if the coaching isn't good, you're still going to lose. You can do all the 5 stars you want, but if the coaching isn't good, you're going to lose. Hubert Davis is a former NBA player turned broadcast guy, on game day fun, assistant coach, got his shot as being a head coach, and he's not good. All the big time runs were late year runs. He wasn't good the whole year. The team sucked. Somebody caught fire, gave us a run, and we got in the fucking tournament. Sound familiar? Yeah. Exact same goddamn thing that's happening this year. You're not a good coach if your fucking team can't be good the whole year. All of a sudden it has to be like some issues happening. We just didn't understand where Carolina basketball, and now we understand it. What the fuck are you talking about? Get this goddamn idiot off my sideline.
Well, then, very.
not exactly fair to you, Bert.
But you know,
they had a problem. I thought he solved the problem in knowing what they needed to ramp up for. They ramped up for the game. He had them prepared for the game.
Yeah,
Duke's a better basketball team. Like I've told you, you can have these hopes and wishes and lollipops and dreams and rainbows, but at the end of the day, when you have these magic bullet games, there's a reason it's a magic bullet because it's rare.
Ooh, Joe, I don't know how I feel about this. This is from the Duke basketball Twitter account. They posted 19-1 with the little blue devil emoji. Is that a regular season championship plaque that they're holding?
I think they finally created one.
Oh no,
It's fine.
is this like holding up the Eastern Conference? Well,
Oh, you mean touching it?
touching
You mean
the Prince of
No,
Wales?
because it's ACC.
We're-
They can't touch the Final Four.
Where's Rod Brindamore to like drop in like Sting or like Stone Cold Steve Austin glass breaking and he's like
No, because it's ACC. If it was,
Okay.
I think it's the Final Four one that you can't touch. Maybe.
Okay.
We'll see.
That's true. They do cut down nets when they win things like the ACC tournament and whatnot. So that's kind of important. All right, back to the OG Sports phone. Let's see if this one actually works. This was like the weird silence one. Yeah, still silence. This is what it is. All right, from a 919.
Shout out to the Devils for making it a reasonable tip-off time for the ACC tournament. That was the most important thing tonight.
Yes.
Shout out to Foster, you're ready, just make sure you play well there, and he did great. Shout out to Malik Brown as well. Shows what value he provides to the team. And just shout out to the bench as a whole. They came in, changed the game, and then Coop took us the rest of the way. Have a good evening.
There you go. Yeah, look, I've said this specifically to Malik Brown, because I know Duke fans have been in our YouTube comments. I've received some messages from Duke fans, and I want to be really specific what I was saying in terms of Malik Brown during the regular season. Malik Brown's health during the regular season was not something that concerned me. You should still be able to, given the current state of the ACC, handle your business.
Yeah, they did not need Malik Brown to beat NC State.
However, we all understand that if Duke's going to complete the mission, they do need guys like Malik Brown and that bench to step up. They do need him as part of their defensive identity to continue going. The fact that he made a couple of threes tonight was an absolute luxury. If anything, it demoralized Carolina even further, while Duke's defense, again, key word here, defense was the thing that was happening. I'm seeing a lot of like Hubert forgot how to coach. No. You know, I had somebody
tell me you've never played basketball before without telling me you never played basketball before. Like, you could be 2 feet from the rim, and guess what? When a 7'2" guy comes over, or Cooper Flagg, who would block a smaller guy's shot, like, that's a thing.
Yeah. Well, you know, like this, I had somebody on Blue Sky put this to me, and I just made the joke. I'm like, you know, maybe Hubert Davis should have thought about this back in January. Reports of our demise have been greatly exaggerated since we decided to shoot 50% from three for the rest of the year. Yeah, man.
If only.
I mean, do I got to channel the old Roy? I mean, we don't need the whole, I got more passion in my pinky. Nah, Roy Williams always said what, Joe?
Everything looks better when the ball goes in the basket.
Right. And I said this last week, when you do this against some of the competition you've seen, yeah, it's going to work out for you. When you do it against Duke, not only are they better defensively on the ball, but defensive rebounding, they're just bigger.
Yeah.
So yeah, those are the types of things that are eventually going to bite you in the ass. So, but let's be real. Let's be real. We're all winners in the end. Because you're right, Joe.
No, that was huge for us.
Huge.
I'm telling you, it ain't the year of the wolf, but it's still the year of the OG.
It really is, man. It really is. From James, can't wait for UNC to hire Boeheim to a 12-year contract and have Mel Brooks, Prince Philip, and Mitch McConnell as assistant coaches and claim it's a long-term rebuild. Oh, come on. We all know Eric Spoelstra is going to take that job. Come on now. From William, going to be a lot of empties at the night sessions in Charlotte for the first few days. Dude, Tuesday is going to be brutal. Even if NC State made the ACC tournament, Tuesday was going to be brutal.
Yeah. Charlotte is not a state town.
No.
Charlotte's a Carolina town.
No, absolutely not. Let me check the OG Sports phone here to see if we got.
By the way, did you notice that final line for Cooper Flagg?
You called it.
Mick Bob-esque, man.
What was it finally?
16, 9, 6, 3 blocks. I mean, he's not a great scorer. Like, he's not.
Okay.
I mean, he's an excellent basketball
player.
He's an excellent all-around basketball. Like I said, the defensive play was really when I thought, okay, this game's over. But when they're going through it, or either he's on the bench or they're going through it, his scoring will not be the reason they win the national championship. His scoring, like when the money's on the table, he is not going to be the person who scores the basket.
It's be Tyrese Proctor.
It'll either be
who had
Knipple or Proctor.
It's funny.
It could be Flagg setting them up.
Yeah.
But he won't be the person who scores the game. He's not Keith Smart on the baseline. I mean, he's not Chris Jenkins hitting the trailer three.
You say that, but Scheyer's clearly put him in a position to be that guy down the stretch.
But that's not how they're going to win the national championship. They might win the national championship just by overwhelming people. That's also possible.
That's how they're going to. That's how they're going to do it.
Possible.
And I think that's where we're kind of missing. You know, what are you looking for? If you're looking for, and I think that might be the misconception, and I kind of blame ESPN and how we talk about these things. Maybe ESPN's, maybe I'm being unfair to ESPN. It is how we talk about basketball, where you need the bus driver, you need the guy who's, who do you want to have the ball in the end? That is not what I've seen out of this Duke team all year. That's not what it is.
Right.
That's not what it is. I think to your point, it really is about,
well,
can you overwhelm the other team, which is what exactly they've been doing here in the last, all throughout February into March.
our Flagg conversations have evolved as the season has gone along.
Yeah.
And will continue to evolve. But I'm already telling you, from what I've seen, from Jeff Teague to Gilbert Arenas to seeing different NBA guys talk about the way that Cooper Flagg plays.
Yeah.
Cooper Flagg is not a generational talent at an NBA level. He will be somebody's really good third player.
I don't know, man.
He's not Victor Wembanyama, who you're going to go in and be like, oh, hey, look.
I mean, Seth Greenberg said he's going to be the overall #1 pick in the NBA draft.
He might be.
He might be.
He might very well be. But I'm telling you, that conversation is going to evolve as it goes along, because you're hearing more and more from players like that, or former players like that, who say, I'm not sure he can get his own the way you think he can get his own.
Yeah. All right, that's going to wrap it up for the OG After Dark. Shout out to everybody who tuned in to YouTube here. We'll have the podcast version available on ogtrianglemedia.com. If you're part of OG fans, we'll have the audio version for you there. What do you got?
Our next After Dark.
You mean our afternoon?
Our next.
You okay there?
Allergies are killing me.
You need a High Life?
No.
Another one? All right.
No, we're out of High Lives, actually.
Oh, bummer.
Our next After Dark will be Carolina plays Wednesday, 2:30.
Okay.
The next day, Duke plays at noon. Carolina will play the next game, so I'm guessing we'll just do it after the Carolina game.
Yeah, we'll do it after the Carolina game.
And then we'll have the 7 p.m. slot. We could have Duke Carolina again in the 7 p.m. slot. Duke will be there 7 p.m. slot on Friday.
Okay.
So for all the people who are just an NC State podcast, well, here you go. Duke, we got you. Carolina, we got you. Is there anyone else that is there a Campbell or a...
Well,
because is there someone we need to glom onto? Or are we there yet?
If I know
the Seahawks.
We have a listener, Davis, who constantly
Campbell
pings us about High Point.
High Point.
He's constantly in our mentions about High Point.
If High Point, we're going to roll out some of those big, beautiful bucks that they have on campus rolling around right now.
I'll take it.
They can throw it my way for a pod, but
I'll absolutely take it. Yeah. So,
I will prostitute myself for High Point.
Well, here's my final question on the just an NC State podcast. Which, by the way, go buy our shirt. Year of the Hangover.
Those things are moving.
I'm not surprised. Not surprised. If Duke doesn't,
luckily above the table.
If Duke doesn't, do we have a drunk devil?
No. I think it'll be a different kind of, if they don't win the national championship, like it's a different, I mean, again, these are all conversations we've talked about this whole year.
A little Coach K that says unacceptable.
But how does this become a zero-sum game for Duke? That's the thing to me. Yes, they should be in the Final Four.
Yeah.
There's no doubt in my mind. Like if Carolina in 2009 had lost to LSU in Greensboro, it's a totally different world. But that's not what happened. And I'm just about ready to put Duke in the same category as Carolina 2009 in the sense of what they are compared to the rest of the field. Yeah. There were about 2 teams in that field. Pitt was one of them back in the day, who could have given Carolina a push, but nobody at the Final Four was going to give them a push.
Yeah.
This is gonna be fascinating to see. And again, that's why games like tonight are so important. You get that early foul trouble. You win left-handed, and you prove that you can win left-handed in a hostile environment. The biggest test facing Duke right now is their history in Raleigh. Their history in Raleigh's terrible. Carolina goes to the Lenovo Center and wins all the fucking time.
Mm-hmm.
Duke goes over there, and Mercer's like, hey.
It's funny.
Hey.
I was having this conversation with somebody today about how you rank these triangle games. If it's Carolina Duke, the one that moves the needle for me is when they play in Cameron.
Yeah.
Okay. When Carolina and State play, the one that moves the needle for me is when they play in Chapel Hill.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, because weird shit happens.
It's usually murder.
You know what I mean? Like, oh, how is NC State gonna?
Piece of history will be accomplished tonight.
Exactly. It's like, all right, well, we know some weird ass shit's gonna happen for this game, and it's not gonna end well for State, but it's gonna be interesting, right? And then when Duke and State play, the one in Cameron's always like, oh, man, we know about this. I mean, hell. Even like the most historic one didn't even count, right?
Nope.
Didn't even count. It's when Duke goes to State that I'm like, all All right, now that's when interesting things happen. Okay,
And every time they lose in Raleigh, they win the national championship. So they can't afford that.
No. It doesn't work out this way. It doesn't work out this way. And I guess, to wrap things up here, I guess that's where when we talk about Carolina, when we talk about Duke, and this might actually lead to the issue, getting back to the start of the conversation, it leads to the issue about why Carolina fans feel the way that they feel about Hubert Davis and this Carolina team over the last couple of years. We talk about Carolina like a very normal team. We're talking about Duke with actual stakes, with a mission that is incomplete, because I know English. And for me, in the way that they were playing in that first half, with 9 turnovers, 5 steals for Carolina, 9 team fouls, and Carolina going perfect from the line in the first half. And I'm just thinking to myself, Duke, no, you're supposed to be here right now, not playing like this. And while Carolina has a lot to do with the way they were playing, you're going to see teams like this throughout the NCAA tournament, and you cannot afford this. So when you judge them by that standard, in the first half, you come away going, what the hell was this, guys? So you just kind of judging Duke at a little bit of a different level, and they acquitted themselves. They showed you once again why they are actually national title contenders. And for Carolina, what have we learned in the last 7 games? I don't know. They kind of are what they are. That's not they are what they are. Could they get to Friday to see Duke again? Yes.
I know. Then you would talk about a real magic bullet.
And then what? And then what?
NC State played Virginia and Charlotte. Remember?
Oh,
remember? And they lost.
Okay. All right.
Virginia was the number 1 overall seed. If only. All we got to do is beat the number 1 overall seed in the tournament, and we'll get in. It's a piece of cake.
Anyway, that's going to wrap it up. Thanks, everybody, for watching the OG After Dark. We will see you on Monday on the normal show.